Well, welcome to our final evening. Professor Seymour here for project management course. I've been informed that DeCola is having some issues with power in her locale, which is challenging her to be able to log in. So hopefully she'll be able to join us at some point. But again, so we're getting ready to get started here. I have three teams to make presentations, and what we'll do tonight, just so everybody has an understanding, is each team will make the presentations. We'll offer an opportunity for colleague feedback. I'll give you some final comments on for my observations, and I'm really looking forward to the work and to see demonstrated this evening. I don't have a particular order aligned. Do I have a team that's would volunteer to go first? Just want me to pick then, huh? Can folks hear me?
Hey, yes, sir. This is Sam. Hey, Dave, Larry, Ron, you guys want to go first or what?
Yeah, we're good. Just bear with me. I'm in a building and there's a fire alarm going off, so I'll do the best I can.
Yeah, this is Ron.
All right, so team variation will go first. Who wants to go second? Let's go team. Let's go UTC second, and that leaves Prime Aircraft third. So the order. Just type this in the chat room so Matthew will know what the order is. Okay, so team variation, who has the presentation and is going to drive the slide deck?
This is Dave. I'm supposed to, but my computer's not logging into the internet. Can one of the Larry or Ron, can one of you guys drive the slides? Larry, are you on? Can you go?
I can. Yeah, I have. Do I have the? What do I need to do?
Larry, just bring the slide deck up on your PC. I will make you presenter. You'll share your screen and put it in screenshot, or excuse me, in slideshow, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
I'm going to make you presenter. You should see a pop-up in your screen. There you go, sir. All right. So then you just make that a slideshow, please. Just makes it easy for everybody to see. Excellent.
All set?
It's probably easier to hit the icon down the bottom, just above the clock, lower right-hand corner. Down, keep going to your right, next to the 91%. Sorry, a little up higher, next to the 91. That one there, yes.
Okay.
Left click on that.
Oh.
There you go. Okay.
All right.
Just before we get started, just for future reference, anytime you put you're doing a presentation and you have your names there, first and last name would be appropriate.
Okay.
it's not big deal for tonight. And in your MPBs and things like that when you're making presentations, because you're going to upload these into the when you get your tracker accounts and things like that, you're going to upload all of those. So we want to make sure that we recognize who's who. And other professors may look at your previous work over the next, several courses. So it also helps to identify who's who. But not a thing to be concerned about this evening. Just a point of reference. Okay.
Oh, appreciate it.
No worries.
So as you can, okay. So as you can see, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Professor.
Okay. So each team has about 20 minutes to make their presentation. And then again, dialogue with your colleagues, feedback, and then my final comments and dialogue, and then we'll move on to the second team. Team variation, you're a go.
All right, it's team variation, Dave G, Larry S, Ron B, and Sam T. Next slide. I'm sorry, how do I go to the next slide?
You could either hit, there you go.
There you go, I got it. Okay, so the problem/opportunity statement: to reduce the spring load failures by reducing process variation. Current process has 40% fallout due to process variation. The process is currently costing $24K a month in scrap. When in full production, it will be $48K per month. The measurable component of this project is FPY, for spring load. This project will reduce the rework scrap cost and will also reduce the risk of line stoppage at the customer. The name of the champions and the guiding coalition members is Joe Ostano. He is the VSM manager. The rationale for the selection of the champions: the project is guided by the VSM, and the ultimate decision has to be made by the plant manager. I'll turn this over to Sam now.
Okay. Sam Taylor. Okay, so starting here with the stakeholder register, we've got Joe Esteno, the VSM manager. He's our day-to-day champion, who we are accountable to. Dave is our POC for him. He stays in contact via email, daily or weekly. And the process that we are looking at improving is guided by the VSM. And of course, he is the influencer of our project. And then the other stakeholders would be the employees, the engineers that are actually doing the work. They're not directly involved with us. Dave speaks with them, but we don't. The rest of the team doesn't have contact with them. And their communication method: same email, meetings, and then going through the champion. Next slide. Okay, so the inclusions, exclusions. So this here is our process that we're looking at improving, broken down. And then to the right of each step are the inclusions. We don't have the exclusions on here, so stamp plates. We're looking at improving the machine maintenance, metal quality, die maintenance, and you can see each step has each area that we're looking at improving. I'm not going to read each one individually. It's next slide. And that's Dave.
Yep. So this is our WBS. We started out with a survey. We took those survey questions, put them out there. We got responses, and due to the small area in these boxes, we have a slide in our backup slides with all the survey questions and the answers. But the answers were actually put into section 2 here, and then those were when we got down to section 3, those were actually the derived actions from those survey results. So As you can see in section 3 here, we have the tasks, plate thickness we're going to verify. We're going to analyze the material yield strength, analyze the heat treat. We're going to analyze stress relief operations. We're going to do a time of day analysis to verify that we don't have an issue with different shifts or perhaps environmental conditions in the plant from day to night or something like that. So we're also going to look into implementing run charts for different areas where we can collect data for tool wear and variation in the process. We're going to check and verify resources for priority as far as how people are utilizing the department for the best throughput and usefulness of personnel. And then the last part of the question, it kind of goes with one of them in the first section, was the review to heat treat process. So we're going to do a heat treat analysis on the actual plates themselves, and then review the heat treat process to make sure that it's actually being heat treated in the correct process steps. Next slide. So this slide has PERT analysis and critical path. So as you can see, the ID numbers on the left side here correlate with those action items that were on the previous slide. So as we go through this, we actually have all those action items listed here with an optimal time frame, the median time frame, and then a maximum time frame in days in this analysis. So it actually gives us a shortest path, standard path, and then the longest path taken. This is not taken into consideration all the other things that go on in the department, but if we were just dealing with this situation and this project, this would be the timeline. Of course, it'll adjust as we get into this, depending on how personnel and schedules go. So, but as you can see here, we actually show that our critical days to completion, it would take 8.67 days if we had the full amount of personnel to be able to use, and we were able to do multiple things in parallel to get this done. Of course, this is going to get stretched out over a much longer period depending on schedules and personnel and those kind of things. Next slide. This is Ron.
Yep, this is Ron. Can everybody hear me? Hello?
Go ahead, Ron. You're good to go.
Okay, thank you. So with all the good work that we're going to do for our client, we want to assure them that we're not going to make the situation worse. So we kind of pulled together the risk analysis. One of the things that we found out was if we were to start changing things, you know, if we start implementing a process that's incorrectly. So, you know, that's one of the risks that we do have at 20% there. The probability of disrupting current process. So this is not a pilot process. It's a process that's in currently being performed, and it's due to be scaled up. So it's kind of a little bit touchy where we want to implement a process that's not only going to fulfill metrics of the current process, but that would be transferable into the upscale process. So basically that disruption is calculated here at 30% with probable operating costs of $100K. So one of the strategies to mitigate and reduce these risks for the empowerment the stakeholders will put for the lead engineers to ensure that they're going to support the improvements as they come. Additionally, managers will oversee the training of the employees to see that the changes will be, you know, accepted and acted, and seeing how best we can move forward with having everybody on board with the changes. And that's basically it to really kind of assure ourselves that we're going to have a streamlined process. That actually leads us to the next slide. We can forward it. So this is our quality control, quality assurance. So how can we make sure that our project goes smoothly? We're going to put basically a dashboard in place in which we will monitor the progress of actions and things to do. We're going to initially hold them on a weekly basis with mandatory attendance, in which we're going to review the dashboard, see if there's, how the process are going and all the actions that are out there, and seeing if there's any roadblocks. And if there's any roadblocks, either escalate or remediate those roadblocks and try to help the people out in order to achieve the actions. Like I said, we'll do that on a weekly basis, but if there's anything that kind of pops up and anything that needs something to be decided on the fly, we could, of course, have ad hoc meetings. And then, of course, we would have monthly get-together with the main stakeholders and the champions and bring up any roadblocks that need their attention at that point. But between this and having like an active, interactive dashboard and kind of like a dynamic with that, we should assure ourselves that all the actions are within compliance, within the way that we want them to be, and kind of like assure ourselves that the project's going smoothly, and hopefully reduce some of the risks from the previous slide. I think that does it for me. I don't think there's we could advance the slide, but I don't think that there is another slide for our team. I kind of would like to open the floor for any questions or concerns at this point.
The floor is open for colleagues' observations or comments or inquiries. Okay, guys, can you go back to your opportunity statement, please? Okay. You're probably going to want to look at as you move forward into your courses, trying to tighten that statement up a little bit. It's very wordy, and typically statements are statements. That's more of a opportunity statement, or excuse me, paragraph. So not a challenge for this evening, but just something in my experience with projects is to make it very clear what you're attempting to do. And then can you move on to your next slide the other way? I apologize. Keep moving through. Keep going. Okay. Let's go back to the inclusions, exclusions. You've got a lot of activity going on here, gentlemen. And your risk assessment acknowledges that you potentially could impact multiple processes. I would encourage you to pay attention to that and keep an eye on that because there's a lot of different things going on here. In some cases, one of these items could be a potential for a project. But you may look at refining what you're able to do. Again, it depends on the customer needs. I appreciate your also uploading the process once it's refined. But you don't be surprised if you're a champion, or you might get some pushback from some of your constituencies, because there's a lot of things going on here. Not to say that it's not necessarily possible, but just keep that awareness, and always be mindful of that, and identifying it as a risk is first and foremost very appropriate. Other thoughts from colleagues? Okay. Next up is Team UTC. Who is going to be the presenter for UTC?
This is Cameron. I will be professor.
Okay, great. So let me just find Cameron. There you go, Cameron. You now are the presenter. Okay, so this is Edgar and Cameron. You have the floor.
Hey everyone, this is Team UTC's team briefing presentation. Team members are Edgar Martinez and myself, Cameron Howell.
All right, so our current problem statement is that the quality processing consistencies and paperwork errors have led to customer escapes from our specific production cell that is not meeting the FPY metric. We did change it slightly, and we might modify this to indicate that that percentage is actually a goal that started from the beginning of this year. And so we're trying to essentially bring up our FPY to meet and exceed that metric before the year's end, or to even better it for next year's beginning. Go ahead, Cam.
All right, so our sponsoring team, our team champion is Mark Prasada. He is the quality manager at our site. Our guiding coalition is our direct supervisor, Guillermo Gonzalez. Angela Damian, the other quality manager, is part of that team. And then the 737 production supervisor, Mike Makarak. All right, so for our stakeholder registry, the stakeholder, starting with the team champion of Mark Posada, who is the quality manager, he will be accountable for the project. We will meet with him monthly via, we'll communicate with him weekly via email and monthly via meeting. His interests are to progress the project and deal with any issues or roadblocks that may occur. His influence on the project is very high. For the quality supervisor, Guillermo, he is the day-to-day champion. He's also accountable with the project, and we will deal with him daily because we will see him daily, so we will set up face-to-face meetings with him, or even weekly meetings if we're not able to see him directly day-to-day. And his interests are to progress the project and help us overcome any obstacles that we might encounter on the way. So his influence is very high. The production supervisor, Mike, he is not directly involved with the project, but we will as a team inform him daily, or if not weekly, on the progression of our project, or if there's any assistance that we may need from him. And his influence is low for the project outcome. In the workforce, so the cell operators that we deal with every day, they're not directly involved with the project, but they will be informed about the progress of the project. And the production supervisor, Mike, will communicate with them via meetings if need be on information that has come about. And so the cell operators have an influence that is low to our project. And then the quality inspectors, which is also part of the workforce, they are the subject matter experts for our project. We will consult with them weekly with our stand-up meetings that we have, and they will also help, or they will be informed of possible changes that might be that might come up, and then their influence is also high.
Okay, so this is our look to our macro flow chart just for the quality inspectors. This is essentially what we do on a day-to-day basis. You go, you inspect something, you test or you verify, you make a decision whether it's acceptable or not. If it passes, we date our paperwork and stamp it. If it fails, then there's rework to be done. We retest or re-verify, we make another decision again, and then once it's done, we then. So our two biggest things to deal with from what we figured out that are kind of causing the issue with our current FPY metric is both the inspection and the testing or verification. The rest of the steps kind of help influence, but it's actually those two first that cause variability, which is causing our low FPY scores each month. Go ahead, Cam.
So this here is our CRM. The two biggest customers are Boeing, and then of course the cell operations that we deal with every day. So the quality characteristics that Boeing is looking for us to achieve is accuracy, timeliness, and completeness of our paperwork. It's very important to them. With accuracy, they want to make sure that we are meeting our FPY objective. So which is the 98.8%. We rated that as a 5 to importance to the customer, and the customer viewed a gap of 5, which gives it a total of a 25 score. And then with timeliness, they want to make sure that we meet our tack time, which is every 35 minutes. And so we gave that a importance of 5 and a view of the gap as a 5, so also a 25. And then the completeness of paperwork, having all our forms completed, stamped, and dated with no missing info, no discrepancies of documentation, and obviously they want a target of 100%, and with the two ratings of 5 and a 5 also gives it a 25. For the cell ops, they were looking for reliability and completeness of our computer work, data entry, and then of course consistency. So with reliability, any QA can step in the process and know what to do. That requires training and a target of 100%, and we gave that a rating of a 12. And then with the completeness of our computer work, being able to use the tools, use the computer, find the folders that are needed, so ease of knowledge, and gave that a target of 100% and a score of 4. And then, of course, with consistency, that we can perform the task or the process repeatedly at 100%, and gave that a score of 16.
Okay, so our work balance structure is more so in about 4 different sections. We have CN form changes, which is the regular paperwork that we do on a daily basis. The dashboard is a tool that is being created to help the ease of access to documentation, schematics, and work instructions, as well as some standard work. We have part of that would be the PowerPoint work instructions of how things are supposed to be going, or what you're supposed to do in that job. And then we have training as our last one, like Cameron said, specifically more so for the quality inspectors, so that any inspector that comes into the cell can perform any of those tasks. Okay. So our network diagram is showing that the CN form changes because there is paperwork. We have to go through, pretty much check for what is needed, and it does take some time because we do have to incorporate a lot of the other documentation for reference, specifying what is to be checked, how so, and even some of this would include training to know specifically where you're supposed to be looking at when you have the paperwork in hand. The dashboard is looking, we might have to modify the time. Currently, we're looking at about 12 weeks, but we're also going in and getting other things that we can better it with, other uses that other inspectors have suggested for the ease of use, and just for more data tracking, and especially for the ease of use, just as a great visual Go ahead, Kay.
All right. And then for the PowerPoint work instructions, so establishing a basically a PowerPoint showing what inspections need to be done and what data entry needs to be done and how to enter it. And then with the training, we'd have to do a training with all of our inspectors on our team to basically give them a run through of how to use the dashboard and how to pull up the PowerPoints. And using the three-point method to find the critical path, using the optimistic timeframes, the most likely, and the pessimistic timeframes, the dashboard is going to be our critical path with a rating of roughly about 12 weeks.
So this is kind of like our quality control metrics, if you will. This is what Cameron and I will be using both for our project and for deliverables to our leadership. The next slide says how it works, but I can kind of explain it here. So these are pretty much just the indications of what each of the fields is. It was on that slide. So all it is like where it says class and champion up at the top. If you go back, Cameron. So where it says class and champion, anytime we have a new class or a deliverable to a specific person, we'll note it up on there. Next to it, or kind of below it, just slightly to the right, where it says due date status, kind of inverted. That's where we'll write our deadlines for those, for whatever we decide to, whether it be an assignment or some type of communication that we gotta make sure we have with our leadership. Assignment name and grade is pretty much explanatory, just self-explanatory. Just that we list pretty much the assignment or the task at hand that we'll be going through. And for grade, it's more specific to the grades that we get from the course. We could also kind of assign or ask our leadership or the people we communicate how they feel about the information, just to gauge to get more interaction from them, to get their feeling about it. And then anytime, as our legend says, we actually have little meatballs, if you will, that will be updating as we work on each assignment. And any of the ones that have a circle with that is not filled in, we will look at that way over on the right where it says problem and issue and figure out what was, like it says, the problem or the issue, whether it be that we turned it in late, didn't have enough data, the people that we needed were not available, or just whatever the issue may be. And then the countermeasure agreed of how to address that issue so that it doesn't happen again. And again, these things will be updated pretty much every morning that we're at work. And Cameron and I will be communicating with one another to ensure that both of us are on the same page, so that in case we do need to address any of the instructors or any of the champions, that we both have the same information.
And then the lessons that we learned through this course has been risk management, identifying the critical path, and then of course understanding the customer's wants and needs, and then scope management. And we really think that the PIO sheet that we came up with will really help us stay on track and stay accountable with the deadlines that we have set, both personally and with our champion.
Okay. Excellent presentation, guys. Both presentations so far have been terrific. Comments, observations from your colleagues? Guys, can you go back to your macro slide for a second, please? Just want to take a look at something. Yeah, your flow chart. Where you have the accept diamond and then the rework, that line from the rework should go back to your first test verify and then make decision, because then you have to go to a pass or reject a second time, correct? So what I'm saying there is the two boxes in the lower right-hand corner are unnecessary. You just bring the line from rework back up to test verify.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. What you're saying.
We see.
Because then you go through the diamond again, correct?
You're correct, sir.
Yes.
All right, good, okay. Wonderful. Again, for all of you, I think scope management is always, at this stage of MPBs, is always something to keep acutely aware of, as well as risk management. And I think both teams so far have acknowledged the challenges and the risks and things, and good. Excellent. Terrific. Last group is up. Who's going to be the presenter?
I don't care. I can be if I need to be.
Megan, I'll make you presenter then. Sharing your computer right now. There you go. Did you get an invitation to share your screen?
Yes, sir.
There you go. Excellent. So then we just need your PowerPoint and put it on slideshow and we'll be good to go.
Let me pull it up. Can I do it this way?
Yes, you can. You're going to be fine. Let it
Okay.
just let it open. Click Enable Editing. The top. Okay. And then down the just above your battery, there's a screen slideshow. There you go.
Can everybody see it?
I sure can.
Okay. I guess I'll start. We Master Business Project Aircraft Readiness / Parts Availability. Our team name is Prom Aircraft, and our team members are Judith, Jay, Matthew, Megan, and DeCarlo. Matthew is our team leader. DeCarlo is our note taker. I'm the timekeeper. Jay is the facilitator, and Judith is also a facilitator. Our mission statement, we maintain so others may live. The location is Moody Air Force Base, which is located in Georgia. The workforce is 350 plus personnel. The aircraft that we are working on is the C-13OJ Combat King II, and they have a total of 9 of those. And what they do is they provide air support, so refueling other aircraft in the air, rescue operations, military and domestic, combat support, transport and drop of equipment and people to selected destinations. Is anybody else on my team on?
Yes, I am.
Judith, do you want to go?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Judith Antoine. So one of the key things that I wanted to highlight is that the C-130J Combat King II is the only dedicated fixed-wing personnel recovery platform in the Air Force inventory. which tells us of its great importance to the mission. So its mission, as you've been told, is to rapidly deploy to execute combatant commanders directed recovery operations. When you're looking at the description from the organization, due to the organization's critical mission, it is imperative that all aircrafts be always fully mission capable. However, once in need of repair, getting the parts for the aircraft becomes quite problematic, as depicted in this slide. We rely on a faulty internal supply system on civilian vendors, including Lockheed Martin, Dowdy Propellers, and Rolls-Royce. Any questions on this slide thus far? Okay, looking into our champion and guiding coalition, we have Major Christopher Dunstan, who's our senior champion. We rely heavily on him because he has authority to ensure any and all resources, making sure everything is available to us. Guiding coalition, we have our day-to-day champions, including Chief Rouge, Chief Velasquez, Staff Sergeant Woods, and the workforce, which is the 71st Rescue Squadron. When we're looking at aircraft readiness, parts availability problem statement, pretty much we have seen the most problem existed when an aircraft is unexpectedly breaks down and was not on the maintenance schedule. So we want to be able to bring all aircrafts into the MFC, which is fully mission capable, 100%. This will enable the unit to meet its mission readiness standard. Okay, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, looking into the organization's strategic priorities and project goals, the main thing that I would say is that the unit right now, this shows what, on a best case scenario, what we would like for the unit to get to. However, the unit is rarely at its full readiness level. Ultimately, we would that's our goal. Nevertheless, as you see in the bottom part, the ultimate goal of the project is to assist the sponsor in moving the readiness meters towards 100%. So no matter the difficulties we've experienced in getting the parts, we will maintain our goals for this project, which is to assist the sponsor in achieving that readiness, mission readiness for the aircrafts.
So this is our stakeholder register. So we have Major Christopher Dunstan. He's the commander of the 71st Maintenance Squadron. He's our senior champion. He's the consultant on all areas. We communicate with email face-to-face with sponsors, and that is Jay with the face-to-face most of the time. The his interest is process improvement, time and cost roadblocks, and his influence is critical. For Chief Velasquez, he is the AMU superintendent. He's the day-to-day champion, the consultant, and our communication is email and face-to-face with sponsor. His interest is process improvement, time, and cost roadblocks as well, and his influence is high. Sergeant Woods is the supply MCOIC. His project role is the supply SME day-to-day champion and consultant on all supply issues. Again, email face-to-face with sponsors and to assist with improvement changes, and his influence is medium. Sergeant Garshaw is lead production superintendent. He's also a day-to-day champion. A consultant communication method, again, is email face-to-face with sponsor. His interest is the process improvement, and his influence is medium. Dowdy is a civilian vendor. Their project role, they are a supplier. They're accountable. The communication is email and face-to-face with the sponsor. Their interest is the improved process and their influence is high. AFETS is also another vendor. Their project role is supplier. Accountable, again, email and face-to-face. Their interest is to improve the process and their influence is high. Rolls-Royce is also another vendor that they use. They are a supplier. Accountable, email, face-to-face. Their interest is to improve the process and the influence is high. And then the 71st Rescue Squadron, that is the workforce/customers. The project role is not acceptable. Their goal is to keep them informed. The communication is through the champion, email, face-to-face staff meeting. Their interest is the progress of the MVP, and their influence is medium. Jay, do you want to talk?
Yeah, I can do it. Okay, this is our force field analysis. And you can see on the first column, we got our enabling factors. We got strong champion support. Reduced aircraft downtime, that's our goal. Increased readiness, that's also part of our goal. And process evaluation, reduced supply part unavailability. Those last three are our main goals. That's what we're trying to work on. Okay, and the project is to reduce unscheduled aircraft repair, maintenance downtime by reducing supply part unavailability from supply procurement process. Things against or restraining, or if you say roadblocks, the change of status quo. You know, everybody's always reluctant or resistant to change. And from the process, there's going to have to be some change. Resistance to a new process, cross-functional cooperation. In the maintenance world, we deal with a lot of outside agencies, which are our cross-functional entities. Unpredictable maintenance, ops tempo. When aircraft break, we don't know when they're going to break or what part's going to break. And data collecting, we want to make sure that we're collecting the data that we need to do our project. Make sure that the data is value added. Next slide. This is our FFA risk mitigation, risk factors and mitigation approaches for restraining elements. Here we go again with the change of the status quo, resistance to the new process, cross-functional cooperation, unpredictable ops tempo, and data collecting. Next slide. Okay, this is our SIPOC, process map. Okay, you have our supplier, input, ordering parts. They're the guys that order the parts. The process, you know, if the aircraft is broken, we order the parts, wait for the parts to be delivered. Then we have to receive the parts, fix the aircraft. Aircraft is back FMC. Output is parts unavailable to fix the aircraft. Customer, our squadron, 723rd AMXS. Delivered, ordered parts, pick up parts. TN is turn in parts. Supply aircraft maintainers, also the customers. Store supply, store ordered parts. The customers also, there's Moody Air Force Base, the whole base. They deal with there. Has materials unavailable for use. The support section. Obtain hard to get parts available to fix aircraft on station. That's also the AMU, 723rd AMU. Next slide. Okay, this is our current process map. Okay, this is for unscheduled maintenance. So we have unscheduled maintenance when the aircraft breaks. We need to order the parts. We order the parts through the supply system. Are parts available? If parts are available, we correct the discrepancies. We fix the aircraft.
parts are not available, then we've got to order the parts through supply or outside agencies like our vendors. They'll check it to see if the parts are on base. We have several warehouses on base that store parts, so we've got to check through all the warehouses. If they are not on base, then we've got to back order the parts. And we wait for the parts to come in. Parts are delivered, correct the discrepancy, return the aircraft back to FMC. Next slide. Okay, this is our current process map exclusion inclusion, and it's the same except for on the other side we had unscheduled maintenance. Scheduled maintenance. Sorry about that. And basically, it's the same process. The process is where we might have problems. You know, we've got some questions there and some things to look at. And those probably be the same areas that we'll be collecting data. Next slide. Okay, this is our CRM. It's our customer requirements matrix. Availability is the key. Make sure availability of the parts. Are parts 100% available? If they are, the time is it? Are we getting them in the time that we need to fix the aircraft? If the parts are not available, how many times are they not available? Why are they not available? Customer expectations. They want to have the parts when they need them on time. You know, importance to the customer is 5. 5 was the highest. Customer view gap was 1, and the rank was 5. You know, that's the main goal, is to have the parts when we need them. Other customer characteristics is operational. All parts serviceable when ordered. You know, when we get the parts, we want to make sure that the parts are good. We've had parts that we received them and they were bad. Number of unserviceable parts received. Serviceable parts at all times. It's the customer expectation. And again, that's also high. The customer view gap was 5, rank 25. Time, all parts delivered on time. Time parts are delayed. Know why they're delayed. All parts delivered on time is the expectation of the customer. And importance to the customer is a little lower, is 4, because we know sometimes things happen and it takes a little while to get the parts. But again, we're mostly concerned on getting the part. Next slide. Okay, this is our stakeholder registry. I think we thought we already done this. Okay, this is our aircraft survey work breakdown structure. In order to provide a survey and an analysis, develop a stakeholders list, survey questions, match survey to stakeholder groups, schedule survey dates, collect data and compile data, analyze and report the data. Okay, we've yet to determine. Okay. Somebody want to take the next slide? Okay, does somebody want to take this one?
Oh, okay. With this slide, we're trying to determine how best to approach the stakeholders that we have and looking to see if we can break it down to further more stakeholders. Right now, we were trying to bring about a survey in order to pretty much implement more people into the decision-making process, and in order to figure out where the breakdown is within the process and how to fix that. As Jahi clearly explained earlier, we have a major problem in ordering the parts, getting them on time, and fixing the aircraft, making them fully mission capable. So in order to do that, we need to ensure that the process, where the gaps are within the processes and how to better implement, finding the solutions. And in order to find the right solutions that will fit the stakeholders' requirements, we need to dig deeper into the issues at hand, mainly talking to the maintenance personnel and finding out where the gaps are with the vendors. And we have third party as well. We figured out past couple of days from issues that JE was able to confront within his unit with a part that he had requested, and finding out there's a third party we need to go through in order to get certain parts. And so all of that we need to figure out what's the second, third order of effects when looking at getting the parts. Next slide, please. This network diagram, we mainly based this diagram from the submission and subsequent answers we will gather from the stakeholder groups, and which will help us in determining where to take the project further. This is a follow-up from the last. Next. This pretty much is self of how we will implement the task within the WBS and our end results, the critical steps that we need to take in collecting the survey data, analyzing it, and moving on forward to the project, with the project.
All right, this is our QC/QA. This is our problem-solving process of designing, evaluating, and implementing a strategy, open-ended questions, and giving us a view of our goal. To define the cubic relations in the problem statement, make it possible quantifications measurable of data, and we want to be able to collect the data directly related to the problem statement. Use the rubric to categorize the classified data. After we identify what data we want to collect, we want to use the rubrics to divide and categorize the data, as high impact, low impact, or the internal problems, and to importance and value to the stakeholders. So for our quality assurance procedures, a quality plan for implementing the project. Because at this level, we will not be dealing with contracts. We'll be using policy letters and MOA, which is a maintenance operations agreement. It was something we'll have to create and have signed after it's agreed upon. Verify that all developed quality procedures have been followed, and ensure that future developments and improvements of controls are in place. Again, we will be using signed policy letters and MOAs, which will be enforced. Okay, that's all we've got. If any questions? If we got a lessons learned, also scope management and risk management. Because our project deals with a lot of moving parts, scope management is going to be a big thing with us.
I also think you're right. I think also vendor management and outside party management will be critical as well.
Yes, sir, I agree.
Right, Professor, off record, I was dealing with our vendors, and it went all the way up to DLA. So we were talking about 05, 06 level, and I got told to shut up and color.
I understand. But again, you just need to be aware of that. Okay. Excellent. Can you go back to your process slide, not the one that you have the overlay on, but the first one? The next one, please. Previous one. Okay. On the second line down, when you're coming through our supplies on base, yes, no, you're going to want to rework the flow because you don't need two correct discrepancies in return ops to aircraft FMC. You want to figure out a way to reprocess that because then the parts come in. Then because when you have the delivery, then the parts are on hand. Then you put that back up to that diamond and continue on.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. Just
Okay.
makes it just makes your map look a little more consistent. Okay. All right, folks. Excellent. Terrific work. I know you've got a lot more coursework and a lot more MPBs ahead of you. It's been appreciated the effort and the work that each of the teams have done and individuals. I know some folks have had some things that have happened that have prevented you from, getting things done on time. Again, that is something we need to continue to stress for myself and future professors. If you are going to miss deadlines, you need to just communicate to the professor in advance. And I will complete all of the grading of all of your work in the next 24 hours, and I'll have grades posted. My goal is to have grades posted by the end of the week. And also, would you complete the course evaluations at your earliest convenience? I would appreciate that. Any questions?
Professor This, we were just wondering to see if we could check with you after class about our assignment.
Yep.
A question for week 4, the discussion questions.
There was only one.
There was only one. I answered 2, and then I looked at some of the other classmates, and they were answering different questions.
Okay, I'll go through them. I'll give you credit for whatever you've answered. There's some setup issues with this platform that I'm still trying to navigate.
Yes, sir. Well, and I wasn't able to reply or respond to any of theirs because I didn't know what was going on.
Okay, I'll take that into consideration. Thank you. Not a problem.
Roger that. Yes, sir.
Okay. I wish you continued success as you journey towards completion. If you have no other questions, I'm going to hang around if the individual teams have questions. All right, folks.